Why is Genshin Impact hated? Genshin Impact is one of the most popular games in the world thanks to its graphics, anime style, and attractive action gameplay. It has become a global phenomenon, winning a series of nominations and awards, bringing huge revenue to Mihoyo. However, along with that popularity, Genshin also has an extremely powerful team of anti-fans, ready to disdain the game anytime, anywhere. So what is so bad about this game that makes so many gamers hate it so much? Join us to find out in today's video, guys. Now please sit down, have a drink and a piece of cake, and let's get started. 1. Genshin Impact was developed from borrowed ideas. At the E3 2019 event, right from its first public launch, Genshin received great attention from the gaming community around the world. Mihoyo's brainchild appears continuously in the newspapers, becoming a hot topic of discussion everywhere. But of course, it's negative because there are too many similarities with Nintendo's 2017 masterpiece, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Both possess a large open world, allowing players to freely explore throughout the green grasslands. The gameplay mechanism simulates real-life logic, taking advantage of elements such as wind, water, fire, and ice. Small features such as flying, archery, cooking are also mimicked very thoroughly. Even the monster's appearance is that of a half-brother. It is not difficult to understand that when this trailer was released, a series of disparaging criticisms was directed towards Genshin. Both in the international market and at home are very fierce. Some people also say that Mihoyo's blatant plagiarism reflects the negativity and poor quality of the entire Chinese game industry. Up to now, the words Chinese and plagiarism are often associated. Not stopping there, at China Joy 2019, Sony, a Japanese technology giant famous for its high-quality chip products on the PlayStation system, suddenly announced that Genshin will appear on the PS4 platform. This makes the community even more angry. The wave of criticism was so great that Mihoyo had to write a letter to fans after the beta test ended, admitting that Breath of the Wild inspired them and also learned a lot from Grand Theft Auto, other games from Bethesda and Naughty Dog to create Genshin Impact. During the Hoyo Fest 2023 event in China, the CEO confided in fans about the process of creating this once-hated brainchild. When we started the Genshin project, we were still a small company with no experience in the open-world genre. We are just a young team moving forward with enthusiasm. Having completed Mondstadt, we are very proud of what we have achieved. Open-world game on mobile. But when the close beta was released, everyone's reaction was completely different from what we imagined, but opposite. They didn't understand what Mihoyo was getting at, and were confused about what Genshin was trying to convey. Many young employees even came to talk to me, crying and asking why. What did we do wrong? However, our young team has nothing to fear. We will show everyone what Genshin is really like. Finally, with the launch of Liyue, people have gradually understood the goal we are aiming for. So after all, Genshin is essentially just a poor quality copy of Nintendo's blockbuster Game of the Year, right? I think the 3-year period partly answered that question. It's like Mini-World's journey out of Minecraft's shadow. Mihoyo's brainchild has chosen a completely new direction, gradually transforming and separating himself from the label of plagiarism. They focus more and more on plot building and combat, specifically the interaction between elements and teamwork to destroy enemies as quickly as possible. In short, Genshin is an action role-playing game with adventure and puzzle elements. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is an action-adventure game that focuses entirely on the experience of exploration. The biggest similarity between these two games is probably the large open world and graphic style. If you Google the keywords Zelda clone, Zelda drift-off game, best game like Zelda, you will be returned dozens, hundreds of results for games that plagiarize Nintendo's masterpieces, even more blatant than Genshin. For example, Oceanhorn 2, Knight of the Lost Realm, has already released its second part. It looks no different than Zelda, and people still play it. The question is, why are they still safe while Genshin is cursed? Very simple, because Genshin has achieved great success and is famous around the world. Originally a game that borrowed ideas from others, but it was highly appreciated. This makes many people feel jealous, and once you hate it, you don't need a reason. However, these problems are just one of the many reasons why Genshin is hated by gamers. We will continue to talk about the factors that make even loyal fans increasingly feel bored with this game. 2. Boring open world. Do you remember how I mentioned that Mihoyo had no experience making open-world games, so they had to copy from Zelda? This leads to the development team not knowing how to fully utilize the strengths of this category when put into operation online. That's why Mihoyo accidentally caused Genshin to have many shortcomings, causing a significant impact on the player experience. At present, travelers can travel through 5 countries built in great detail, closely following real-life landmarks and cultures, demonstrating Mihoyo's investment and care for his brainchild. The dominant element corresponding to each place where the gods rule is also done well, such as using wind skills to interact with wind particles to fly around Mondstadt, summoning objects to summon lava structures to solve puzzles in the Liyue area, dodging lightning and bathing in the electrified river in Inazuma, and swinging like Tarzan in the rainforest Sumeru, or most recently, the dolphin simulator in Fontaine is interesting. However, these things can only make players who first set foot in that land feel excited. Once they explored every area on the map, they immediately realized there was nothing more to do in this mission. Genshin's open world itself is not replayable. A chest once taken will be lost forever. Any puzzle that is solved will be lost forever. Roadside monsters or upgrade materials can be picked up whenever you need them because you won't be able to use them all. Random events have very cheap rewards, not worth the effort. Another annoying point that Genshin players encounter is that the treasure chest on the map contains a lot of primo gems, the most important resource to gacha to collect waifu, husbando, or to build a stable team to overcome all endgame. If you are just a normal gamer who likes to go here and there, after a period exploring all certain areas, when you turn on the map, the game will say about 70% to 90% completed, even if you try to search down to every smallest corner. The compass to find treasure is also quite useless because it can only detect chests within a short range, but in the case of hidden chests, the main reason why we haven't cleared the entire map then just could seek yourself. And this is when you come to the Teyvat interactive map. This leads to many people relying entirely on map or puzzle videos about Genshin on YouTube. Just do it exactly like that, and you will get all the precious primo gems, something that kills the desire to adventure and explore the mysterious open world, going against Genshin's original direction. Besides, the events in the game hardly take advantage of this open world. Most events in Genshin take place in secret areas, small, narrow spaces, completely separate from the outside land, serving minigames or combat, but do not contain any adventure and exploration elements. I agree that there are some events for taking photos, picking flowers, catching butterflies, fighting monsters, etc., which are still outside the map, but they are too few and too boring. Completion time was also quick, leaving no impression at all. In short, Mihoyo built a large Teyvat land, but could not make it attractive enough to retain players after a period of experience. It's okay if you guys come in to collect waifu or husbando, but gamers who come to explore gradually feel bored and leave Genshin. 3. Poor endgame content. As mentioned in the previous section, Genshin focuses more on combat action than world exploration, which can be identified through its elemental reaction system, rich weapon set, and characters' unique skills. Each member will be guaranteed to receive a different role to create the strongest team, sweeping away obstacles. However, once entering the stage of Adventure Rank 56 or higher, everything in the game is too easy because the player almost has the necessary squad and extremely terrible stats. Sometimes you haven't even had time to show your talent before the monster has been destroyed. Finally, when talking about the action role-playing part, Genshin doesn't seem to be doing well either. There is no shortage of terrible monsters in the game, requiring the ability to think and build a counter-team to defeat them. Surely many people were still obsessed with the weak boss child at the time, which shocked the entire fandom, the puppet Raiden, creating conditions for many travelers to change new keyboards or phones. The most recent is the appearance of the sacred beasts, with combos that fly the whole team without getting into trouble. Despite such potential, the only place for gamers to show off their skills is Spiral Abyss, which resets twice a month. It's like Mihoyo is looking down on the gamers. Recently, inside the Fontaine area, a few more hidden bosses have appeared, but they are still too few and not strong enough. This makes Genshin quite boring from the middle to the end of the version because there are no other activities besides the daily collection of 60 Primogems. They keep repeating until there is updated content from Mihoyo. The open world is like I just said. What else is there to explore and play? The more time you spend with Genshin, the more you will see how bad its endgame is. 4. Slow updates and optimization. Along with poor in-game content is the extremely slow update and optimization progress. After more than 3 years of development, Mihoyo rarely brings any significant improvements to upgrade the player experience. Let me briefly tell you the so-called optimizations that Genshin's team of more than 400 employees, now nearly 1,000 employees, have been able to do over the past time. Increase slowly the relic storage limit and number of pins. When they saw people complaining too much, it wasn't until recently that they added the feature to delete mass pins and integrate stratified maps into the game in version 4.0, which should have been available a year ago. Opens the boss difficulty reduction feature in the storyline, added the feature of quickly challenging and challenge domains to farm materials to upgrade characters without completing previous missions. Reset cooldown time when rematching in Spiral Abyss, improve the character training interface, and enhance weapons. In general, these are all things that have to be done from the beginning, not done until now. Revise the lightning targeting mechanism of Yae Miko, and the damage and ability to create marks on surrounding opponents, which were considered weak, have decreased even more seriously. This angered the Genshin community. Some people even asked for a refund or accused Mihoyo of fraud. In the end, the company decided to return it to the way it was and compensate Primogems for all gamers to keep them quiet. This method never gets old. Up to now, Genshin has passed the 4th year, but the AA mechanism or auto-aim is still extremely pathetic, unable to keep up with the manual lock-on or target switching feature, something Arena of Valor has been able to do for a very long time. In short, despite having an extremely large staff and extremely rich financial resources, Genshin still has many limitations that greatly affect the gamer experience. Survey letters at the end of every version, and a series of comments from people filled with expectations for their beloved games are always sent regularly to the developer. Yet most of them are ignored or wait extremely long to become reality. This makes many players feel that Mihoyo is contemptuous of the community, only focusing on creating waifu and husbando to siphon money from gamers. And the distaste that follows is also increasing. 5. The plot is too wordy. Storylines are always an important element in a game. It helps the story or context unfold more seamlessly, as well as more clearly show the personality development process and mood changes of each character that the gameplay cannot clearly describe. However, Genshin overuses too much dialogue to prolong playing time. I'm not saying the Genshin storyline is bad. I'm even praising it because the quality is improving day by day. However, it always has an inherent weakness of being too lengthy and cumbersome. Combined with the stiff movements, the character's completely frozen facial expressions, and the ear-piercing shrill sound makes gamers frustrated. Many events take place in the game, even though they take several hours to complete, but they can all be summarized in a few short sentences. But that's the main plot that's been invested in with proper voice acting. Subplots just have a bunch of dialogue that slowly hits the player in the face, shortening patience and increasing frustration to the maximum. With the above shortcomings, it is not difficult to understand why people day after day begged Mihoyo to add a skip button. The company also just remained silent and decided to add an automatic dialogue jump function so that gamers don't have to sit and press manually like 2 or 3 years ago. But this game is already very poor in content. BCE this terrible trick, what other method can be used to force players to spend a lot of time on it? And this action makes people hate Genshin even more. 6. Toxic fandom. When making this video, I determined that I would get cursed. The problems I just mentioned above only negatively affect the traveler. The real reason why this game receives a lot of hateful looks comes from its fandom. As a free-to-play game with beautiful graphics, extremely simple gameplay, and extremely easy to get used to, Genshin attracts many people. So it's understandable that there are many bad gamers. I know almost every community is like that, but in today's video, we're only talking about Genshin. In the first days of standing at the top of glory, some young travelers went around teasing Kid World everywhere to prove that they were superior to all other competitors. FGO, Grand Blue Fantasy, League of Legends, Arena of Valor, Honkai Star Rail, or even unrelated manga and anime groups are also in the spotlight. Since then, Genshin has also become a thorn in the eyes of many people. So after the horrifying Holy War to celebrate the first birthday, the entire gaming world and the Weibo community extremely hated everything related to the brainchild of the Mihoyo family, openly disdaining anyone who dared to mention this sinful name. Genshin Fandom has officially reached the bottom of society. It doesn't stop there, perhaps because this game itself does not have a BBB mode. Players go BBB with each other online. On forums dedicated to Genshin, dozens of big and small dramas of all kinds happen every day. Bullshit is caused by fans praising their favorite characters, bringing down others, and then fighting each other. Others discussed meta, but could not find common ground and ended up fighting. The worst things include attacks on voice actors because the characters they voice have poor gameplay, cursing at the publisher for having gender-unbalanced character designs, racism, and promoting slavery. If every time a drama happened, I would receive $1, I would probably be Bill Gates by now. After more than 3 years of continuous development, Genshin has experienced many memorable events. The community is also somewhat more mature, although internally they still occasionally punch each other in the head. But at least they no longer do too many foolish things that negatively affect other fandoms like before. However, with quite serious crimes in the past and weaknesses that have not yet been overcome, it is difficult for the brainchild of the Mihoyo family to escape the disgusted gaze of many gamers. However, there is still an extremely big reason why Genshin is hated, which is because it belongs to the gacha genre, a controversial form. Now, if you find this video interesting and entertaining, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Stranger Games channel so you don't miss any videos from us. Goodbye, and see you again.